Grounding through the feet and beginning to study your balance. Where is it? Your center of gravity changes in pregnancy continuously, so it's important when you come to your practice to study balance first. Notice where your center of gravity is if it's changed from the previous week. Let's move through our sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep your arms, reach them above head. For pregnancy, you may choose to bend your knees. Exhale, reach your chest forward, palms to the ground. Inhale, Adho Uttanasana, lengthen the spine. Exhale, Purna Uttanasana, deepen. Relax the neck. Walk your palms forward to the front of the mat, pregnancy. Exhale deeply. While anybody else is going through Chaturanga, you may want to come onto hands and knees. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. You can go back, Stephen, for pregnancy Chaturanga. Kiss the heart to the earth. Press back up strongly. Please remember to always scoop your baby up into your spine round and move back to your downward facing dog so that you protect the linear elbow and do not separate. In a normal vinyasa, you might find somebody jumping to the front of the mat or stepping. You'll rather walk your hands back to your feet. Inhale, Adho Uttanasana. Exhale, Purna Uttanasana, deep forward fold. Inhale, sweep your arms out to the side, rise. Exhale, Samastiti Tadasana. Pause. We're going to move through the side plank variation now. Inhale, sweep both arms high, reach for the sky. Exhale, length through the heart, fold. Bend your knees if your lower back is tweaky, please. Inhale, Adho Uttanasana. Exhale, Purna Uttanasana, deeper forward fold. Walk your hands to the front of the mat or jump to the front of the mat, the back of the mat. Exhale deeply. One more Pragi Vinyasa onto your knees. Inhale, look up. Exhale, round. The next time that you look up, take your Chaturanga version. Instead of up dog, please don't take up dogs. Press back, scoop baby into the spine. Downward facing dog. If Stephen decides to take a side plank to the right, I'll gently bring my knees to the earth. Walk my right palm forward a space, extend my left leg back parallel to the earth, and hold, side plank. If he decides to do a side plank balance and reaches his left leg high to the sky, you might choose to bow the body. And Stephen's going to take a rock star. We're going to do it a bit differently. Step, drop the hip. Some people call this wild thing. Extend your right leg long, knife edge of the foot presses, rise with care. Coming out is the most important part. Bend both knees and drop your hips equally. Bring your knees together to protect the pubic symphysis, swing them at the same time, come back onto all fours, and then move back to your down dog. Again, round the spine and meet your friends in downward facing dog. We'll demonstrate camel. Instead of taking your normal Ustrasana, you'll come onto hands and knees, step one foot forward, swing your heel out behind you, place a palm to the ground, half camel, reach and extend. Stephen will take his natural camel. We're on 3 points. We feel strong, connected, can open the heart to come out, bend the elbow, gently release the hip, place both hands to the ground in front of you, and change sides. Step your opposite leg forward, swing your heel out, sit down on that heel. If you place your hand to the side, you'll get a side stretch. If you place your palm behind you, you'll get a deeper camel. Either way, you're working with a bit of a back bend. Again, coming out is important. Gently release the hips. Palms to the ground in front of you and back onto all fours. Inhale, reach for the sky. Exhale, create length. Bend your knees if your lower back is tweaky. Reach for your blocks. Place your hands on your blocks, straighten your arms, and straighten your legs. Shift your weight back into your heels slightly. Keep pressing into the blocks. Keep the spine long. Take a moment to condition the hamstrings. Breath is long and soft. We're going to work into the iliopsoas. We'll work with the right side first. Move the blocks back onto your mat. Bend your knees. Step your right foot back as far as you can. Make sure that your blocks are either side of your left foot. Press your hands strongly into the blocks. Spring load your right leg. Don't even bend the knee. Sink your hips as low as you can. Push into your blocks with your arms straight. Look back as far as you can. Keep feeling into the iliopsoas and quadricep on the right. Press back, roll the right heel directly behind the toes as you straighten your legs and fold. Wide pyramid. We're going to do that 3 more times. Deepen down, spring load the right leg. Go as low as you can without buckling the knee. Toss the gaze back. And then press back to wide pyramid. Right heel directly behind the toes. Press into the heel, push into the ball of the left foot, fold deeper. And again. Lifting the chin last, hips low, heart open. Press back, wide pyramid. Final time. Big breath in through the front body from pelvis to crown. And back, wide pyramid. Get fully into your Achilles by pressing firmly into the heel. And now, when you come into your low lunge, it'll feel good. Good. You'll feel space in that right side. How does it feel?
Quite open.
Yeah, feels good, but at the same time strong. So you're not dumping into the bones and the joints. You're actually feeling into those low lunges. Just so useful. And then for the pregnancy versions of half splits, I'll often take the heel forward, straightening that leg, and then swing your right knee over to the left side of the mat. Walk your blocks on the diagonal onto the inside as far forward as you can. Spread your arms, drop your chest, and then a small external rotation of the left big toe to bring the stretch into the inner hamstring. And you're not overstretching the ligaments into the inner groin, but you are getting the good hamstring stretch. Neck relaxed. So in pregnancy, you're also encouraging your students to find space from the ribs to the uterus. So the further forward they stretch to create that space, the better they'll feel, because there's an area, you can walk your hands back, there's an area here that can become very painful, and that's at the sternum. And a lot of women complain that there's constant pain around this area and they can't breathe properly. When they do those exercises, everything here stretches out and it gives space, and then they find it easier to breathe, and they give space for the baby to grow and the diaphragm to still function correctly. Yes. So blocks are really helpful for pregnancy. You want them to bring their block. There's 2 ways to move into the deep transverse in pregnancy. Again, you might see women dumping their baby like that. You want to encourage a lift of the uterus, neutral spine, and from here, extend the left leg back and reach the right arm forward. It's a good pregnancy core, but if you find them dumping into the lower back, don't go there. If you can see that they're struggling with pubic symphysis and can find no stability, left big toe to the ground, and it's still helping, it's still working the core, but without damaging the pubic symphysis further. Right palm beyond the shoulder, spin the left hip over, and you can begin here, and if they are confident, then reach the leg high and hold. See if you can encourage still point here. And when they've reached still point, they've actually turned on the deep transverse muscles. While you're still wobbling all over the place and doing this, unable to find those deep transverses because they're still thinking that they need to use the abdominis rectus, which is incorrect. You need to find those muscles behind the uterus. And once you're able to find your still point here, you know that you've come a long way and you're engaging the core correctly in pregnancy.
How about twists in some modifications?
So you want to think about open twists in pregnancy. So obviously, if you are doing a Matsyasana and you're trying to do that, it's not going to work. Pregnancy version, you're just going to invite them to open. So you're doing normal twist, they're going to wrap, maybe catch the ankle, and do an open twist. So always think open to uterus. Yes. Don't try and close the uterus. It's going to go nowhere, and it won't be conducive to anything. They won't be able to work into the spine. All that'll happen is that trying to breathe, that's not going to work either. So open twists are as good as it gets in pregnancy. You can wait till after the pregnancy to enjoy your twists again. It's just how it is. And I must say that post-natally, my twists were my favorite things, because you can't get deep into twists in pregnancy.
Yes.
Simple.
Okay.
Yeah. The other very important thing is side body openers. You want to get into the rib basket. You want to be able to open the intercostal muscles. So all the side body openers are really important for pregnancy. My advice is also to shrug your shoulder 3 times up to your ear so that you engage the fascia, and then you'll have more depth with the engagement of the fascia and more comfort. It's just a little trick to, instead of only work into your muscle and then feel all the fascia pulling under your skin, to say, hello fascia, how are you? I'm feeling you, engage. Oh, okay, you're going to go with me instead of against me. Simple.
So side body opening is good.
Side body opening is good. From that position, obviously, 3-point back bend's amazing for pregnancy. So, you know, if somebody's done a fancy jump back rock star, they can always take it into their own modified side bend, back bend. The other thing that's really important is even really flexible yogis, you want them, and I'm going to show it from this side, because you want a pregnant woman to feel the importance of spilling the pelvis. So here I am in Upavishta Konasana, and ask them to sit on a block first. Then you want to feel as though the perineum is just off the block and you're spilling the perineum forward. Pick up the edges of the block and keep spilling the perineum. This can be normal people as well who aren't able to get into Upavishta. Once you've spilled the perineum, you'll release the block, and you now have a tilt to the pelvis that gives the freedom that you need to be able to truly work into that mobility through the pelvis.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can even try it yourself and see the difference. And because a lot of people will be tail tucked under, because that's how they sit all the time, their addiction to chairs has created that. And even if you sit on a little cushion, they've still got no freedom, really. And even the stronger yogi, pregnant yogis, you still want to be able to find that pelvic tilt. Yeah. And then that'll give you, in pregnancy, I talk about perineum flush to the ground. If you can feel that and become accustomed to it, that's a whole area that's going to give you a new meaning to birth at some stage. So get familiar with it, and then you'll find that you have more freedom through the pelvis because you've correctly tilted the pelvis to begin with. So that's where, again, a block is really helpful.
People are a bit tighter than they can just stay on the block probably.
They can stay on the block. But it's also good to just get that feeling of forward tilt, because when you're maneuvering a baby in the birth canal, one of my biggest problems is that women are still pressing up. They haven't released their tailbone. So getting that feeling in pregnancy of the forward tilt, anterior tilt of the tail, you really, really get the feeling of how baby can fall into the pelvis and through correctly, whereas most of us are so stuck. So that's also helpful, but probably more specialized for pregnancy yoga side. But it's just a little tip for them to get into Upavishta Konasana. Yeah. So if you are a yoga teacher inviting pregnant women to practice in your yoga classes, it's really important to understand one aspect of pregnancy that is placed under a lot of strain as the pregnancy progresses, and that is something called the linear alba. It's a thick fascial tissue that runs from the sternum all the way through the navel and down to the pubic arch. This fascia, if you see somebody with those sexy abs and six packs like Stephen has, you're going to see that indentation here, and that is the linear alba. In pregnancy, that linear alba is put under an enormous amount of strain. So if your abdominis rectus are pulling tight, here we go, linear alba is here, abdominis rectus is still engaging. You should disengage the abdominis rectus as soon as you get pregnant. You should start to let your belly puff out and soften to accommodate the pregnancy. But women, particularly sportswomen that are still engaging enormously, this fascial band begins to pull and stretch like an elastic band. If you're still doing planks, you put pressure into the linear alba. If you are moving incorrectly and sitting up, crunching up instead of rolling onto your side, again, the weight of baby pushes into this tissue. You're still engaging these muscles. Disengage these muscles, begin to engage the deep transverse, and the linear alba will be safe. If you overstretch it, you create something called diastasis recti, and it's like an elastic band that's overstretched. It creates a big separation and a gap. It can be 4 fingers, it can be three finger gap, it can be a 2-finger gap. It's very difficult to fix after birth. So postnatally, you have to work really hard to get that separation fixed if you've created it during your pregnancy. So it's best to avoid the things that are going to create it: crunches, too much engagement of the abdominis rectus, and learning how to relax the abdominis rectus, engage the deep transverse, and rely on your glutes more. Start to strengthen your glutes, particularly in the standing poses, moving backwards and forwards through your practice.